Welcome to the deep dive.
Hey there.
So you've brought us some really interesting material today.
Yeah, this one's from a YouTube channel, Simply Life. The video is about finding yourself through, well, spending time alone.
Right. Solo katsu, as the source calls it. And our job, as always, is to dig into it, pull out the key stuff for you, the listener.
Get you those aha moments without you having to wade through everything.
Exactly. Quick, useful insights. So this video, it's based on a book, Solo Katsu Joshi no Susume, which is like advice for women doing solo activities.
Yeah, but the ideas, they're pretty universal, I think.
Yeah.
Especially, for anyone interested in self-discovery, maybe in more individualistic cultures too, it touches on self-reliance, introspection.
Things that resonate quite widely.
Definitely. So the video breaks it down into three main things we're going to explore.
Okay, what are they?
First, this idea that, maybe surprisingly, well-adjusted people often tend to be more solitary.
Interesting. Okay.
Second, how actually doing things alone, solo activities, can make your life richer.
Makes sense. And the third?
And third, how to get past that feeling, the awkwardness or embarrassment about being seen alone.
Yeah. That's a big one for a lot of people, I bet.
It really is.
Okay, great. So let's dive into that first point then. Why well-adjusted folks might actually prefer solitude. Where does the video start with that?
Well, it kicks off with a pretty direct question, actually. It asks, how well do you really know what you like and dislike?
Okay, simple question, but maybe not so simple to answer.
Exactly. The speaker in the video shares their own experience, like jumping into hobbies and then just dropping them super quickly. And also feeling really drained after hanging out with people, even friends they genuinely like.
Oh, I think a lot of us can relate to that social battery drain. You have a good time, but you're wiped out afterwards.
Totally. And it makes you wonder, have you felt that too? That gap between what you think you should enjoy and what actually genuinely energizes you.
Yeah, definitely. So the video's argument here is what? That people comfortable being alone know themselves better.
Pretty much. That they have a deeper, maybe more specific understanding of their own preferences. They know what fills their cup and what drains it.
And they can prioritize that without needing constant, validation from others.
That seems to be the core idea.
Yeah.
Which, it really pushes back against that common idea, especially maybe as you get older, that being alone is somehow bad or a sign you're not doing well socially.
Right. You should want to be surrounded by people all the time.
Yeah. And the video mentions the speaker read this book, and it sparked this thought. Maybe it's the people who can't stand being alone who might be less well-adjusted.
Whoa. Okay. That flips the script entirely.
It does. It makes you question those assumptions about needing constant company.
And there was a statistic mentioned, right? Something about self-awareness.
Yes. That was really striking. It referenced research from Persia Urich's team, mentioned in a book called Insight.
Okay.
It basically said something like 95% of people think they're self-aware.
Which sounds about right. Most people think they know themselves.
But the research suggests only about 10 to 15% actually are truly self-aware.
Wow. Only 10 to 15. That's a tiny fraction.
Isn't it? And the video links that higher self-awareness directly to well-being. So that massive gap, well, it's pretty significant.
It really makes you think. So how does this connect back to knowing your likes and dislikes?
Well, the video argues that true self-awareness isn't just vague stuff like, oh, I like fashion.
Right.
It's getting specific. What about fashion? Is it following trends, designing, appreciating historical styles, shopping for vintage,
Yeah.
the texture of fabrics,
Getting really granular about what actually sparks your interest.
Exactly. And it's often easier to figure that detailed stuff out when you have some quiet time, some solitude, to actually reflect on your experiences.
And it's not just likes, is it? The video mentioned dislikes, too.
Yeah, that's crucial. Knowing what you don't like or what you find draining or uncomfortable, the video uses the Japanese term naigate.
Things you're not good at or just don't vibe with.
Right. If you're not clear on those, you can end up putting yourself in situations that just deplete you over and over again.
Okay, so lack of self-awareness means you don't really know what you enjoy or what brings you down.
And one consequence the video points out is not knowing what to do with a free day.
Oh, yeah. That feeling of, I have all this time, now what?
If you haven't really connected with your own interests, that empty time can feel, well, empty or even a bit anxious.
The video used an interesting phrase, something about not being able to walk on one's own feet.
Yeah, that was the speaker's analysis, lacking your own internal compass, your own sense of direction, because you haven't figured out your own desires clearly enough.
So if you don't have that internal direction, Being alone feels unsettling. Lonely, maybe. Flan and Sabishi were the words used, I think. Anxiety and loneliness.
Exactly. And that discomfort, the video suggests, can lead you to constantly seek out company, almost as a distraction.
And to make that feel okay, maybe we collectively create this idea that being alone is weird or shameful.
It's a possible cycle, right? Feeling anxious, alone, seeking company, justifying that need by framing solitude negatively.
That's a really interesting way to think about social norms around being alone.
And the video uses a pretty powerful example to illustrate the strength that comes from knowing yourself and being okay with being solo.
What was that?
It talked about group bullying situations, like in childhood. Someone who is genuinely well-adjusted, who knows their own values.
They're more likely to stand up for what's right, even if it means the group turns on them.
Exactly. Because their sense of self isn't totally dependent on fitting in. They can handle being separate, being solo in that moment.
So, wrapping up this first point, the idea isn't that well-adjusted people are antisocial hermits.
Not at all. It's that they're comfortable enough with themselves, they know themselves well enough.
Their likes, their dislikes, their values.
That they can choose solitude when it serves them, and they have the inner strength to follow their own path.
Okay, that makes a lot of sense. So, let's move to the second point. How actually doing these solo activities enriches life.
Yeah, this follows on nicely. If knowing yourself is key, then solo activities are presented as, like, the practice ground for building that knowledge.
The way you deepen that self-awareness.
Right. By actively choosing to do things alone, you learn more about what truly clicks with you, what doesn't. And ultimately, that helps you live life more authentically, more on your own terms.
Does the video give examples?
It does. It shares a story about the author of the book, Asai Mayumi. Apparently, she found navigating things alone quite hard at first.
Okay.
But then she started exploring independently. Like, she cycled way out to the edge of Tokyo and back, all by herself.
Wow, okay. That sounds like quite an undertaking if you're not used to it.
For sure. But the video emphasizes the feeling she got afterwards, like real empowerment, tackling something that felt difficult and finding joy in it.
That feeling of expanding your world, pushing your own boundaries, I can see how that would boost confidence.
Definitely. It makes you think, doesn't it?
Mm-hmm.
What things do you hesitate to do alone? And what might you gain by trying?
Yeah.
And Asai's main point, highlighted in the video, is basically, hey, being alone can actually be really enjoyable. Yukai was the word happy, fun, wonderful.
It's not about deprivation, it's an opportunity.
An opportunity for self-discovery, maybe just simple enjoyment, recharging, all that good stuff.
So through solo activities, you refine your understanding of yourself, leading to a freer, more fulfilling life.
That's the gist of point two.
Okay, which brings us neatly to the third point. Because knowing the benefits is one thing, actually doing it is another. How do you overcome feeling awkward or embarrassed?
Ah, yes, the hurdle of self-consciousness.
Yeah.
The video totally acknowledges this is a major block for people.
I mean, we've probably all felt it at some point, right?
Yeah.
Sitting alone in a cafe, going to the movies alone.
Absolutely. The video mentions some activities from the book, ranging in perceived difficulty, like maybe going to a planetarium alone feels easier.
Lower stakes.
Yeah, maybe. Compared to, say, solo karaoke or especially solo yakiniku, that's Japanese BBQ where you're grilling meat at your own table. That one seems to have a higher perceived weirdness factor for some.
Right, because it's traditionally seen as a group activity.
Exactly. And the speaker shares Asai's point that this feeling of embarrassment can be really strong, even if your rational brain is telling you, it's fine, who cares?
It's like a gut feeling.
Yeah. And the video points out that everyone's threshold for this feeling is different, and it's tied up in all these unspoken rules and expectations we've absorbed.
So what's the strategy the video offers? How do you get past it?
It introduces a really practical, kind of freeing idea from the book. Basically, realize that everyone else is just the mob.
The mob. What does that mean?
It means other people are generally way less focused on you than you think they are. They're wrapped up in their own stuff.
Like background characters in your movie.
Sort of. The video uses the restaurant example again. Think about it. When you're out with friends, are you meticulously clocking every single person eating alone? Remembering what they wore, what they ordered?
Honestly, No, not
No.
unless they, like, set their hair on fire or something.
Right. You're focused on your food, your conversation, your own experience.
So the idea is everyone else is doing the same thing, focusing on themselves.
Pretty much. We tend to overestimate how much attention people are paying to us.
Yeah.
We feel like we're under this giant spotlight.
But really, everyone's just worrying about their own spotlight.
Exactly. That's a great way to put it. This realization can be super liberating.
Does the video give another anecdote here?
Yeah, Asai apparently saw a classmate just casually say, I want ramen, and then pop off to eat alone. No big deal.
Hmm.
And for Asai, that was like a light bulb moment. She realized the anxiety, the feeling of, I can't do that, was mostly internal, self-imposed.
It wasn't that people were actually judging her, it was that she thought they would be.
Precisely. The limitations were in her own head, based on worrying about appearances.
So the main takeaway for overcoming embarrassment is realizing it's mostly in your head.
That seems to be the core message. Recognize that the feeling is often self-generated, challenge that internal narrative, and understand that most people are too busy with their own lives to be scrutinizing yours.
And if you can shift that perspective,
Then you're free to actually enjoy those solo activities without that constant low-level anxiety.
it opens them.
Yeah, a whole world of possibilities, potentially.
Okay, fantastic. Let's pull this all together then. We've covered quite a bit from this video transcript.
We have 3 key things, really.
First, that intriguing idea. Maybe being comfortable with solitude is actually linked to being well-adjusted because it stems from deep self-knowledge.
Right. Knowing your true likes, dislikes, and values.
Second, that actively choosing solokatsu, doing things alone, is a powerful way to build that self-awareness and genuinely enrich your life, boost your confidence.
Making life feel more authentic and enjoyable.
And third, that often tricky feeling of embarrassment about being alone. It's largely about perspective, recognizing that others probably aren't paying nearly as much attention as you think.
Yeah, it's more internal barrier than external judgment most of the time.
So this deep dive, drawing on the ideas from that solokatsu source, it leaves us with something to think about, doesn't it?
It does. Here's a thought for you, the listener, to maybe mull over.
Okay.
Think back to a time you felt self-conscious doing something by yourself, anything at all, and really ask yourself, where did that feeling actually come from? Was someone really looking or commenting, or was it more an internal voice, an assumption you were making?
A feeling you generated based on what you thought others might think.
Exactly. And just consider what might change for you if you started to question that internal voice, if you shifted that perspective, even just a little.
That's definitely some food for thought. Perhaps this has even given you an idea for your own little solo adventure.
Maybe. We definitely encourage you to explore these ideas more if they resonate. Perhaps try dipping a toe into some quality time. Just you.
Well, thanks for taking this deep dive with us today.
Always a pleasure.